Okay, all right, so you're about to do the potometer experiment in 120 or 110 lab. And so you may be asking, well, how does this thing work and how do we actually set it up? And the key to this experiment, if we're gonna test how much water the tree branch is pulling up through transpiration, we need to have a contiguous column of water. And so we can't have any air bubbles, and that's kind of the key. So we can't just have our potometer set up, filled up with water, and then stick a tree branch on top of there because we're automatically going to introduce some air into that setup. So what we'll show you is how we set this up in order to make it all good to go for our experiment. Okay, so the key thing about setting up the potometer is that what we want to do is make a completely airtight or watertight seal with the branch so that there's no air bubbles and it's only water that's able to be sucked up off of the edge of the branch. So we're going to put the branch on this side up here, and so the water level that we already have in the tubes is right about here, so that means there's this air here that we need to get rid of. To when we attach it onto the branch. So we've got a cute little trick with how we do that. The material that we'll need for the setup is our basic potometer tubing, and it's already filled with water all the way up to here. We'll have to add a little bit more when we're done. But then our little tricks of the trade is we're going to use some clippers to clip some off the edge of our branch that we've got down here. And then we'll have some zip ties in order to zip tie it and make a nice tight seal around the tubing. And then we'll use a little bit of Vaseline that we'll put around the edge that will make a little watertight seal. And then lastly, we'll have a stopper that we'll put on the edge that will help us get rid of the air bubble that we'll see here. So I'll put the stopper on for now. And then let's prep our branch real quick, and then we'll do the potometer setup. So I'm going to take our branch that we just collected out from a tree in the center courtyard and tried to get one that's as close to a match of the diameter for our tubing as possible. If anything, it's better to err on a little bit bigger, and we'll see how this one works. But a good little trick is to create as much surface area as possible on the branch. So to do that, I'm going to actually cut a little bit of a point on the end, and that'll also help it insert into the tubing a little bit better. So we'll do one clip there on this side, one clip here on that side in order to keep it all underwater. I've got a little point on the edge that's not a super clean cut, so I'm going to try and clip that off just a little bit. Okay, I think that should be better. All right, so now I'll keep this underwater, and hopefully it'll stay in place. All right, and then now I'm going to put my finger over here, and why I'm putting my finger over here is because now I get to move this, and no water is going to be leaking out. If this plug wasn't in place, as I moved this, the water level might go up or down, and when I'm going to keep it in place. And then in order to get rid of this air bubble, we'll take advantage of the fact that air is lighter than water, so if we turn this upside down, we can watch that air bubble go all the way back up to the top, and we'll wait until the air bubble is completely at the top of that other side. Okay, and then once that's done, we can insert this into our water, and I can let go with my thumb and notice that the air stayed in here and we didn't have all the water rush out down the tubing. So now this is set, and then I can take and put the branch inside the tube, stuff it in as far as it'll go. Seems to be fairly snug, and then to make sure it stays in place, we get our zip tie, Be sure to keep it all underwater. Pull that zip tie as tight as we can get it. Okay, that seems pretty good. All right, and then the last step is then we'll take a little bit of this Vaseline or petroleum jelly and put it right on the tip here, right on the edge. So that we'll try and keep things as watertight and airtight as possible and make a little bit of a hydrophobic seal here on the end. Okay, and once we've done that, just dry my hand off a bit, and then we should be good to go to bring this upright and clamp it in place. Try and get about the same height as the other one. Insert it into these clamps. Looks like it'll hold in place just fine with just that top clamp. And then if we got everything good, then our water level should basically stay here, and now we've got a nice contiguous bit of water going all the way from where it touches the cut edge of the branch all the way down through here, and then we can fill this back up to the top up to 0, and once it's at 0, right away we can start measuring how much water that the plant is pulling out from this little water column. And we're good to go to do our experiment.